In this video, I'm going to give you all my plays for NCAA basketball for November the 24th, 2024. Also going to show you two methods where you can eliminate a lot of plays with value via your model with a sport like NCAA basketball where there's a ton of volume, so that you're only playing games with a high percentage of cashing. My name's MGCovers. Greatly appreciate you tuning in this video. A lot to cover. Before we dive into NCAA basketball, I want to review in NBA. We're having a ton of success with NBA. This is one of my emphasis going into the NBA season. I wanted to attack NBA early and basically try to make as much profit as we can before the market changes, which is generally in the spring. It becomes very difficult to handicap NBA. And this has pretty much been my focus all of November. 8-6, up 3.74 units. If you're new to my channel, we grade one plays, 1 unit. So a ton of success there. Also note, if you're averaging a sport like NBA, let's say if we're averaging 4 units a month, November, December, January, February, we shut it down at the end of February when the market sort of becomes extremely sharp. That would be basically 16 units for NBA, and I would be absolutely thrilled with that. So super excited about the progress we've made with NBA. And to sort of segue into college basketball, I feel like the model's ahead of the market. And what I mean by that, last night the model, we had Lakers and lost, but the model itself went 3-2. The night before, I think it was 3-1, and then I think the day before that it went 4-0. So we have, what I mean by that is the line's moving against us on a lot of these plays, but the model is winning. So I think the model itself is ahead of the market. And I've talked about this numerous times. The best time to wager on any sport, not at the very beginning when you don't have data, but when you have enough data via your model, then you can attack that because the market hasn't adjusted, the general public. Let me give you another example with NFL. I'm a Washington Commanders fan. It sounds weird to say Commanders. You go back, they're -11 against Dallas. Granted, Dak is hurt, but that's a big number. Washington's, quote, a good football team. But if you go back to the beginning of the year, they were underdogs against Cincinnati, won. They were underdogs against Arizona, won. They were +7 against Baltimore. I think that game was a push. So my point is that the best time to attack any sport is when you have enough data via your model and it's early in the season. The worst possible time to play any sport is very late when the market is already adjusted, and more times than not, you won't have as much value via your model as you do now. Now, let's talk about college basketball. Now, the great, I made several videos about college basketball. The great thing about playing college basketball, you have a ton of games and it's a daily sport. Very difficult for the books to set a, quote, good line, and especially when you consider some of these games where it's a very small market game. Like look at Hampton and Boise State. How much money is going to be poured into Hampton, Boise State versus the Dallas-Washington game in NFL? Not much. So it's going to be very difficult to get this line to move correctly. And so therefore you can find a ton of value in the NCAA basketball. Now, if you look over here up at the top, I haven't officially started wagering on the NCAA basketball. I made a small tweak to how I'm calculating this line. If you follow me on Instagram, I gave out these plays here. Model went 3-0 yesterday. Really solid. And the day before, 10-6, cashing some money line dogs as well. So really good time to play NCAA basketball. Now, let me pull this up. Let me pull up the lines here, and I want to show you as we go through this. Now, and let's take a look at, we'll just kind of go through these quickly here. Princeton, we have -8. The books -11. St. John's -6. We have it -2.5. Boise State -23. We have a -4. You look at Maine, markets about -4. We have them at -9. So there's value there. So again, two ways. So the traditional way, I would say my line is Maine -9. The market has them at -4. That's a 5-point differential. That would be a play. Well, the problem with doing that is you're going to end up, if you say, I want to have a 5-point differential, you may end up with, say, 20-something plays via your model. Now, for a $100 player, if you play $100 a game, now you're risking $2,000. And for most people that are, quote, wagering $100, $2,000 might wipe out your entire bankroll, right? So that's not feasible. And the second problem with that, if you wager the way I teach this, so let's say you're a $100 player, you got a $2,000 bankroll, you would risk no more than, say, or let's say your bankroll is $1,000. You would risk no more than 10% of your bankroll per day. So $100 max, regardless of number of plays. If you have 20 plays, 100 divided by 20 plays, you'd be wagering $5 a play. So really not really the best way to do that. So you have to have a process for eliminating games. Now, the way that I did it, and you see over here the way I tested it this way, I'm only playing the top 30 teams via my model. So however you're creating your model, you should do this for any sport, whether it's NFL, NHL. You should have a ranking system in addition to creating a line. And I've talked about in a lot of situations, you might not even need a line. And this is the case here because all I'm doing is playing the top 30 teams via my model. So irregardless of the line, we're considering that a play, even if there's a small amount of value. And this helps to eliminate the games. That's one way you can do it. The second way you could do it would be to set a criteria, like, for example, like if you look at this main game here is -9, you look at the books line is -4.5. You could say I'm only going to play teams via my model where there is at least where they are a double-digit favorite via my model and they have value. So the case would be Boston University. So we have Boston at -19. You look at the books line over here at +2.5. So using that method, Maine wouldn't be a play. Boise, none of these plays here would be a play. So you would only look at teams that are double-digit favorites via your model. Now, again, not saying that would work, but my point is you have to find out a way to eliminate games. And so you're basically just playing games with the biggest margin. And that's sort of the concept I'm doing with ranking these teams. So we go through this, and I'll actually show you the plays here for today. So the first one we have is VCU and Miami. And also, too, I'm going to put a link to all of these games, so you can click on that link, and it will take you to Google Sheets, and you'll be able to see all of these plays for today. So Miami VCU, that line opened at 2.5, small bump in favor of VCU, which is good. My line has this at -13, so that would be a potential play. Scroll down here, Villanova and Maryland. We have Maryland here, and again, this is a really good example. A very small margin. Villanova's a pretty good team, obviously. Do have some line movement moving in favor of Maryland, so even though that's only a 3-point differential, it would still be considered a play via the model. Moving along, St. Bonaventure here. They are playing Bryant. Opened at 7, pretty much staying at 7. Some books have it at 7.5. You look at my line at -18.7, basically -19. That would be a play. What I should have done is I should have ran through this and showed you what if I would have just done plays with value, meaning like shown plays that had a 5-point differential, it would probably be close to 20 plays. Next play here, off-market game here, Northern Alabama, Northwestern State. Hopefully I got that in there right. They are underdogs, +5.5 open. Bookmaker has taken it down to 4.5, which is a good sign. We have them at -22, so that would be a potential play. Oklahoma State and Nevada, -6.5 open for Nevada. Moved against us here. We have Nevada at -19.7. So that's a potential play. And moving along here to the end, Pittsburgh and Wisconsin. Let's find that one. Wisconsin's a ranked team. They're at +4. Line moved down to +2. In favor of Wisconsin, we have Pittsburgh -12. So again, that's one of those examples where we're going against the market there. And then we have Florida Atlantic and Seton Hall. I think we had Seton Hall in the model, I think 2 nights ago. -33, my line. They're underdogs here today. Lines moved against us as well. +2, line moved up to +2.5, so that would be a lean/play in favor of Seton Hall. And then finally, the last play will be Drake and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt obviously favored in that game, -3, a small bump in favor of Vanderbilt there up to 3.5. We have Drake at -9, and line is +3.5. And all these dogs here, there's ones that are dogs. Obviously, I'm not taking the points here. I'm playing those all on the money line. So Drake +3.5. The only way I would consider playing the money line if it was closer to on the opposite side of 5, maybe like a +6 or +7. I would take the points, but other than that, I would play on the money line. Now, one other important point to make here as well with regards to the model. Model is 13-6, so that's just under 70%, up 8.76 units. Again, not officially wagering yet, and I probably won't today, which is an important point to make, because one thing we know about sports betting and understand statistics, if it's at 68%, obviously it's not going to maintain that, so I'm probably going to wait until the model regresses, maybe today or tomorrow, and then start wagering again. And what I mean by regression, that's basic math. Regression point would be, if you look at a game, each team has a 50% chance of winning. If you're 68% of a big win streak, obviously it's going to regress, and many times it will regress below that 50% in order to come back closer to, quote, 50%. So probably not going to wager on these plays today, but as soon as it regresses, I'll probably jump back in and start wagering. So again, just a quick review. If you're looking at a model, don't forget several ways you could do it. Number one, you can rank all your teams and maybe play the top. And it doesn't have to be top 30. You can test this to see. You might play the top 10, top 20, maybe even the top 50, extended out to include more games. Or you can set some criteria like I did here, double-digit favorites, and also set another criteria of having value. Or you could just say, hey, we'll just play double-digit favorites. I've done that in the past with this model, meaning irregardless of what the line is, if they're a double-digit favorite via your line, you could consider that a play. So a lot of different ways to do it. If you want access to these lines every single day, in addition to NBA, you can get that. It's $50 a month, very inexpensive. You also get access to all my coaching videos on the site. Getting ready to put out a ton of content for coaching clients. I've been extremely sick here the last few days. That's why my voice sounds rough. So we got several coaching videos coming for college basketball as well as NHL. So you get access to all that. If you want access to everything I just mentioned, in addition to all my plays, $100 a month. The best value of all, instead of paying $100 each month, you can pay $4.99, $500 one time. You get access to everything on the site for an entire year. That's the best value. There's a link to join in the description. Greatly appreciate you watching this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.